Hello everyone, it's fireteam here and I'm going to be talking to you about April releases. We've got a lot to go through as per usual because Corvus Belli are just on an absolute train of releases, and this is a big one because this is an entire sectorial release that's kind of a re-release. It's Imperial Service. So let's dive straight in so that we can get to all the good stuff. The first thing I need to do is show that I haven't been careful. This is the Imperial Service action pack box, which is beautiful, stunning, and also sports a rather meaty dent in it. If you're unsure of the story behind this, go check out the video that's at the top there, which explains how the Imperial Service box may have saved, I think, around 70 minis, just under, from near certain doom. We're here to talk about this box, not what this box has done for me. Look at the Imperial Service action pack. It's a bit of a reskin of Imperial Service. There's some new units coming in that are in this box that are well worth chatting about. We've got 10 minis in this box, but as a caveat to all of this, we actually have a couple of other releases that came out with this and that you can get at the same time if you did pre-orders of the Imperial Service. They are very cool as well. Lóngwáng and the Dragon Lords, which I will go through after I've gone through this box. At high level, this box contains 10 minis. So if we look at min-max proxying of what all the 10 models that are in here, what's the minimum points you could be using, what's the maximum points you could be using in this box, we're looking at 190 to 235 points. So good value in this box here for only 10 minis. Obviously, Corvus Belli say you only need 10 minis to play Infinity, and that is true, but you couldn't do a 300-point game with these 10 minis. You've got 3 Celestial Guard, you have an Imperial Agent Crane rank, you have an Imperial Agent Pheasant rank, there is a Wuming, Bayara Guard, Koga Ninja, and Jinyao drop unit. The Celestial Guards, if you're going to take them in their combi rifle format, which is what comes in this box, they're between 13 and 17 points, actually specifically 13, 14, and 15. Imperial Agent Crane rank, this one, it says on the Corvus Belli website that's with machine gun. Specifically, when you dive into the profile, you can see that it's an AP HMG, so not just any machine gun. It's not only a heavy machine gun, but it's AP as well. That is either 49 points and 1 SWC or 49 points and 1.5 SWC. The Imperial Agent Pheasant rank, that could be between 23 and 28 points if you're just going to proxy that unit for any of its loadouts. This one is the Red Fury at 28 points and 1 SWC that's in here. It says that this is an SMG version of the Wuming, but they only have an APS SMG, so that's like the 19 to 22 points. Not a normal SMG, it's an AP SMG that these guys are equipped with, so quite a big deal. Bayara Guards, you would have seen this, you probably would have drooled over it as much as I have because it is a beautiful model. That is 18 to 20 points. The one that's in here is the light shotgun, which means it could be the 18 or the 19.1 with mine layer. And then Koga Ninja, they go from 25 to 30 points. All of them have EM carbines. This one really doesn't matter because it would be all of those. And then the Jinyao drop unit between 17 and 24 points. I wasn't able to get the specifics as to what the one in here is actually loaded out with. Fireteam options are good in this box too. We have the Celestial Guard, so the Celestial Guard Fireteam is an obvious one because we've got some Celestial Guards in here. That could also fit in the Crane Agent and the Crane Agent Pheasant Imperial Agent. So the unit on Army Builder is Imperial Agent Pheasant rank or Imperial Agent Crane rank, off the top of my head, having done this earlier today. But then when you look in the Fireteam's chart, it's like Pheasant Imperial Agent or something like that. So while you can infer, there's also no guarantees that you could get that 100% accurate. So I just wish that they would use the same ISC code every time they refer to that same unit, so you know 100% you've got the right one. But that's me splitting hairs. And then there's the Wuming Fireteam that you could be using because of this box. You've got a pretty good loadout there. Again, you've got one Wuming in here, and then you've got the Crane Agent and the Pheasant Agent. Both also go into this Fireteam. I did have a bit of a debrief with a local Imperial Service player, and in fact, he got into Imperial Service when they were selling off all the old stuff at a bit of a discount, and he was like, hedging his bets as to whether it was going to be discontinued and kind of like playable, but discontinued, or whether it was going to get the revamp that it clearly has got. He said that a few people in his circles, you know, the Yujing secret societies that I'm not a part of, were surprised that the box contained the units it did because they weren't things that people always take, was my takeaway from the chat with him. Having said that, though, he did have 2 Wumings. He had an Imperial Agent Pheasant rank. He had some Celestial Guard. So he had a decent percentage of the models that were in here in his IS list. And he said he'd been experimenting with the Bayara Guard, hadn't taken it. He had painted up the Jinyao drop troop unit. He played up the Lóngwáng, but just hadn't played with it yet. So quite a lot of the new releases were at least being dabbled into. I was a bit disappointed to not face the Bayara guard when I played against him, because that looks like a tough nut to crack, and I think depending on how you play it, it could be quite interesting. And why is that? Well, the Bayara guard has a 360 visor, it's got biometric visor, it's got multispectral visor, level 1, so it's got all the visors pretty much that you can have. It's got a discover reroll, which I find quite useful, and then it's got guard and religious troop. All of those on its own paint it as quite a defensive, I think, unit, which makes sense. It's a Bayara guard, so thematically you expect it to be a guard kind of unit. I think the profile that I would potentially be trying, because I actually see a bit of an offensive route for this, is the 18-point disco baller profile. And the reason for that is that it's got the light shotgun, it's got the heavy flamethrower, it obviously still has guard, and while it doesn't have exceptional CC, you could be picking off the right units if you want to. So I'll be using the disco baller to potentially get mid-table, but then what I'd be looking to do is like tuck it into a bit of a tough corner where there aren't long firing lanes that something could just HMG or anything that needs to go past, because it's got 360 visor. It doesn't matter if it comes around this side or comes around that side, so tuck it into a building. You then give CC attacks that it probably doesn't want to be having. So that would be the one that I want to go with out of this box. I don't do my mini ratings for these big boxes because I would be here forever, but the Bayara guide would be scoring incredibly high. And there's actually quite a lot in here that would be scoring a lot of good points. Like Koga Ninja is maybe one of my favorite ninja profiles that I have seen. And I'm half tempted to steal this to be proxying it. And this has got a really cool compound bow, but still has, a really thematic hat and even the robot chicken, which I understand, but looks cool. All of this actually just looks really nice. And I think had I been coming into Infinity at this moment in time, Imperial Service would absolutely be the box that I would be picking up. If you're unaware of the thematics of Imperial Service or the lore or the history, they are effectively Euging's police force, like private police force, effectively. So the role that O12 plays for the whole of the human sphere, in theory, is what Imperial Service is playing just for Euging, and I think some of the private side of things as well. So let's segue into why I would be playing Imperial Service, and it has a little bit to do with this unit. Lóngwáng. So this is lore-wise, this was developed to be a compact tag that was designed for police duties. So it's heavily armored, it's got a decent amount of firepower, but what you'll see as we go through the profiles is that it's got some non-lethal options in there, which goes into the human sphere style of policing. So it's going to give the Zeta nightmares, because effectively it's a small version of that police keeping force that the Zeta would probably be designed for. The Wreckers definitely don't fall into that category. They're all about heavy firepower. It's S6. It looks of the police philosophy that is effectively, I think, visual deterrent is deterrent. It's bulky. It's got big armor plates. It looks like it can take a hit. And when we look at the profile, it actually can. Somewhat frustratingly, the Corpus Belli website doesn't outline exactly which profile it is. Obviously there's the 72 and the 74.1, but I'm going to bet on the fact that that massive gun that it's holding there is an HMG. The Lóngwángs are pretty cool. So they've got biometric visor. So we heard about that from the Bayara guard. They've also got ECM guided -6, and not as much guided out there nowadays thanks to the M5 nerf. But it's got BS attack SR -1, so weakening your enemy if shots go through. BS attack -3, which is very good. Again, reducing the effectiveness of your opponent is sometimes as important, if not better, than boosting your own performance. It's got courage, dodging on 11s, gizmo killing on 12s, and it's got tactical awareness. The profile options included, there's a 72-point 1.5 SWC, HMG, adhesive launcher rifle, light riot stopper with +1 burst, para CC -3, and the Shangdiao peripheral. All of them get that. All of them get the para CC weapon, all of them get the light riot stopper +1 burst, all of them get the adhesive launcher rifle. So the only difference when we're going through these points are some of the skills that some of them get. So the 72-point 1.5 SWC, that switches its MG from Mark 12 and it gets +1 burst on BS attacks, which is quite good on that light riot stopper because that turns it into a burst 3 light riot stopper. Obviously the adhesive launcher rifle, it's nice to get that +1 burst on there. So that's a really good option, I think, is that 72-point, that BS attack. The Mark 12 isn't my favorite primary loadout for something like this because I run my tags very aggressively. The HMG would be better, but I do think that there's maybe benefits in having that extra bonus going there. And then at 74 points, so 2 extra points, you can have an NCO option, which could be a useful option for something like the Lóngwáng if you are running it aggressively, which the HMG profile for me would lend itself toward. Using the NCO, using the tactical awareness, that's 2 orders that might not be able to be used by anyone else. And you've used it on something that could be doing a lot of damage before you've really dived into your order pool. This is available in a fast attack fire team, which I think it does suit quite well. It's got a 6-4 movement. Pairing that with the Sujan would be a worrying thing for anyone to be dealing with. You'd be focused on this, even with the Mark 12. When that gets close, you'd be worried about it because it's got the light riot stopper. And then the Sujan is just a pain when it gets close anyway. I think it's got the heavy shotgun loadout. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But this, incredibly cool. It is I think this is the plastic resin. Not Unicool, but not Cytocast. I think I will open it and show you. Mini rating for the Lóngwáng. Where are we going to go with that? I do just like the design. So this is going to get a strong 8 out of 10 for me. And then we go into the Dragon Lord, which is the pre-order exclusive edition. They will release a non-pre-order exclusive. Corvus Belli always does. They rarely look as cool as these exclusive editions. So bear that in mind. If you're wanting this model, try and get hold of this model because it's not going to be available forever. And the next one isn't going to look as cool. I can't even remember the last time the follow-up looked better than the exclusive mini. In the old days, when Corvus Belli did these Adepticon bundles or these new faction bundles, this would effectively be an HVT. Now they're making them playable minis and have done for the last couple of editions. And I like it, especially when it adds to the theme or it makes that faction even more appealing. When I first looked at this, I thought, well, it's basically just a more expensive Warcore with a couple of tricks up its sleeve. Then I looked deeper. So what do we have here? We've got Martial Arts Level 1, which, to be honest, should have been my first giveaway that it's not playing anything like a Warcore. I imagine that if you play it like a Warcore, which is how I first faced this, it just gets shot off the table, because while it has a flash pulse, it doesn't have a lot of really good defensive stuff, like a Warcore. Difference with a Warcore, 3 points. This is 5 points. Not a pain to lose, but you ideally don't want to. It's an irregular order. You can obviously spend a command tag and turn it into a regular order. It's a specialist operative, but that's exactly the same as a Warcore is in this current ITS edition because Journalist got the specialist tag. It's an irregular order and it has stealth, it's got nanopulsar, it's got flash pulse, it's got silence pistol, it's got a monofilament CC weapon. And I think it's when I got to that part of the stat line, I realized that this could very easily be played wrong. Because if you do just put it up like a Warcore, and you basically just treat it like it's a slightly more expensive Warcore with some cooler stuff, I think you're losing its key selling point, which is that this could be run up the table. A 5-point disposable unit chucked at a heavy infantry or a tag, potentially. You use that, get that monofilament off. I mean, you got Martial Arts Level 1. It's not the best CC specialist, but it's 5 points. What have you lost by chucking it up there, facing a heavy infantry, having a couple of shots in on it, doing this to a tag, whatever? Just, it's a 5-point model. Have a punt, and if you maybe clear a mine on your way in or something like that, it doesn't really matter. But what if it succeeds? That trade, that points trade is bonkers. So I think I would be playing this as a bit of a warband type unit. We've got the Disco Baller on the Bayara Guard. You could use the Disco Baller. Actually use it to shield this going up. Get into CC, kill some stuff, put the Bayara not that far back at the mid-range, have that as a roadblock. There's some cool things I'm already seeing with Imperial Service, and I don't even think I'm scratching the surface of the stuff that people actually do or like doing. So keep that in mind. From a mini rating, I'm just going to give you my number. I'm going to go, no fluff, 9.5 out of 10. Which is crazy for a 5-point model, even though this is an event exclusive. Obviously more effort's gone into this than maybe your standard line infantry might get. But this, to me, exemplifies the human sphere, this model, because it shows the fashion, the status, the style, the technology. I think it shows what happens when we get that far advanced, Will we become more garish? Will we become more tied to cultural roots? I don't know. But when I see pictures of the human sphere and I see Yujing look very Yujing and, you know, the JSA look very JSA, and I really like that. It's one of the things that made me fall in love with it. This is a model that exemplifies that for me. And the detailing is madness. You've got the robes look amazing. That tablet actually lends itself to potentially doing some nice OSL if you're that way inclined with your paint schemes. You know, the hair, the eye patch, all of these details. I'm going to stop talking because I'm starting to get more excited than coherent. This triggers a lot of stuff for me that gave it that. I want to paint this and I want to do a good job, but I've got to wait until I've done my JSA. It's beautiful. So that is all of the Infinity April releases, because a lot of it was Imperial Service focused, as it should be, because Imperial Service is a cool thing. May has a lot of stuff coming. Let's have a quick look at some of those things that we're going to be seeing. We've got the Firebat attack wing, which is the O12/Torchlight vehicle flyer. We have the Yamabushi, another what's that, the third Yamabushi that we're getting at the moment. I think maximum I run 1. If you're using 4 Yamabushi, tell me how you're doing it. I'd love to know. Shindenbutai Expansion Pack Delta, which has a couple of units in there that I would really, really love to have actual models for. Then the Red Eye, which is scary. I've got a lot to talk about with that in that video because I've faced it. I've theory crafted lists based purely on facing that unit and how I'm going to deal with it. And in next month's video, we're going to focus on what it is, how cool it is, how you face it, why it's such a pain. We'll throw quickly going through what we've got coming from Warrior. Got some more Sinan. Still not entirely sure I'm pronouncing any of this remotely correctly, but that's okay. The Grove Curtailers, Leaf Hats, Leaf Hat people. We then have, once again, an action pack. More, I was going to say more leaf-headed people, but then none of these people actually have leaves, but they do have a copious amount of wings floating around the top there. We then have the Backclear Farm Scenery Pack, which is beautiful. And I did talk about this in one of my early videos around how there's walls, fences. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will be back soon with more.